going on, guys? Go grab you a cup and let's have a chat. That one's good and hot and just right. So we're going to do a live stream on this topic at some point, but I want to go ahead and cover it in this video, primarily for those that don't always get to watch the live streams or don't follow up with the live streams or whatever. Bear with me just a second. We're trying to, there we go. Makes the camera more betterer. Yeah, make it so y'all can actually see my smiling face. Why does that look off? Okay. We're professional here. We're set. All right. Something that I see happening in the preparedness / armed prepared citizen community is something that I've talked about on various levels and various contexts before in the past, but it seems like it's something that really needs to be steadily addressed and brought out. Bottom line up front, as armed prepared citizens, oh, I'm about to sneeze, hang on a second. Killed it. Sorry about that. As armed prepared citizens, we have to be very mindful, and this is easy to do. It's a trap that's easy to get caught up in. But be very mindful not to just copy the military, not to just copy whatever the latest goings on is in the world. I see it happen a lot, and you have to really put the effort into resisting that urge, because quite honestly, it's the lazy way of doing things. You just look at whatever the latest current happening is, and you mimic that, and it takes all the thought and concern out of it for you. But you're doing yourself a huge, monumentally huge disservice by doing that. Now, obviously, this is all just my opinion, and it's worth exactly what you paid when you come in the door. For example, for a long time, from about 2002 on up, there was a huge habit of people just copying everything from the GWOT, Global War on Terror. Everybody looked at what the military was doing, and by the military, it was the military that you saw in front of the news at night, which was very often SF types, that sort of thing. And everybody just copied and mimicked exactly what they saw those guys using, doing, etc., regardless of if it was actually appropriate for their individual situation as an armed prepared citizen. Everything from planning to weapon choice, especially gear choice, that's been a huge one. And the other huge one is just general training and practice. I'm seeing it again, and I've been seeing it for the last year or two now, where people are flopping around, and now they're starting to just blindly copy and in their minds worry about and associate what's happening over in Ukraine. Unless you realistically see yourself in a situation where you are conducting trench warfare, just copying everything that is appropriate for trench warfare probably isn't a good idea. I know that may come as a shock, but it's not. And that's from the gear to the training to everything. Look, as armed prepared citizens, we have got to put in the effort. You've got to put in the work. I know it sucks. I know it's easy to, like I said, just be lazy and copy the thing, whatever the latest the thing is. But if you are truly serious, you've got to put in a little bit of effort and work. You've also got to be, dare I say, not afraid to do things differently than everybody else. God forbid you don't fit in with the cool crowd. God forbid you don't fit in with what all your cool buddies are doing. But if you're serious about this, you will do just that. So to adopt the military acronym METT-TC, and METT-TC is one of those acronyms that honestly, excuse me, it's not applicable to the armed prepared citizen in a whole lot of ways. But in the couple of ways that it is applicable, it's applicable. And planning your preparedness, this is where it becomes, in my opinion, pretty important to look at. So for those of you that aren't familiar, METT-TC is an acronym. It's METT-TC. It's mission, enemy, terrain and weather, troops and support, time available, and civil considerations, right? So we have to look at those things not from a military standpoint, but from an armed prepared citizen standpoint, okay? And I think that's one of the first things you've got to establish in your own mind. What are you? Are your plans and intentions to be an armed prepared citizen? Are your plans and intentions to be part of and work as a militia? Whatever it is, you got to establish that up first. Because then when you establish that, then your METT-TC falls in line. So, coming at it from my standpoint, and I can only speak for me personally and my folks. So, mission. My mission is pretty simple. It's to protect and safeguard my family, friends, and our property, belongings, etc. That's it. That's my mission. I want to make sure that my family and friends are safe. I want to make sure that we are fed, that we are healthy, that we are protected from the elements, protected from people that want to try to take our stuff because they're stupid and didn't prepare, whatever. That's my mission, okay? So from there, I have to establish, well, who's going to be my enemy? Who's the most likely threat that's going to affect that mission? Well, this is where things start to get hinky, because depending on what you decide is your primary threat, it will really steer which way you go with how you equip yourself and how you train and practice. So, I did mention this was a coffee chat. You might want to go get you a cup if you don't already have any, because I don't do 5-minute infomercials here. We might be here a minute. We'll be here till I feel like I'm done saying what I want to say, or until the cup gets empty. And I started with a fresh brewed cup, so just saying. So for me, my primary enemy is going to be the hungry, starving, desperate hordes of people who live their everyday life without a care in the world, make no efforts to plan or prepare and put aside, and suddenly find themselves extraordinarily desperate and doing what desperate people throughout history have always done, and have to resort to desperate measures to try to feed, shelter, and protect those that they care about. Additionally, my enemy is going to be the sadly large portions of society that will rear its true and unmasked head when there is no more law and order, when 911 doesn't work, when there's no threat of the police coming and arresting them and putting them in jail, or getting hauled before a judge and sent off to prison or whatever. There are a lot of people in society, shocker, believe it or not, that when that mask is ripped off and is no longer a concern for them, they're going to do what bad people do. Shocker, I know. That is my personal, and for my folks, our enemy and our threat and concern. Now, depending on who you view as your primary threat and enemy and concern, it may change. It doesn't mean that either one of us is wrong in how we are preparing and setting up. If your threat and concern is totally different than mine and you're setting up to counter a totally different threat, I'm sorry to inform you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the way I'm setting up is wrong, because I'm setting up based off of what I see as my threat. Yours may be different. You may have reason to have a different threat. And we may need to be drastically set up different. We may need to be planning and operating and preparing different. Everything from our actual plans and procedures all the way down to the gear and equipment and items that we choose to use. It's a thing, okay? I'm trying to watch my time here too. We're not going to stop at a specific time. I just want to know how long. So, terrain and weather. What's the climate in the area that you're going to be in, where you live at, where you plan on being at when things go bad, etc.? What's your summers and winters like? That the weather is going to dictate a whole lot of stuff that you may or may not need to have. I'm in the deep south. Snowshoes are not some of the items that we put back in our equipment. It's just not. Deep south, not a concern. My weather does not dictate that I'm going to have 6 foot of snow to worry about. Terrain, first part of the terrain and weather. Are you in a very arid area? Are you in a mountainous rocky area? Are you in a green wooded mountain area? Are you in the second bowels of Hades of jungle-like tropical swamp woods? That terrain is going to dictate things such as your clothing, how you set your equipment up, how you operate and do things, so on and so forth. Troops and support available. Who do you have that you're going to be working with? Is it you and your wife and kids, or do you have a bigger network of family and friends? If you've got a bigger network and family and friends, are you all going to be spread apart, or are you all right together? Do you have another friendly group of folks close by that you can network with and work with? Do you not? What's your available support? What do you have locally, logistically, that you can rely on? You could even tie some of that support available into the terrain, such as, do you have really good, viable water sources close by, or do you have to go a long way to get fresh water? That's considerations. The time available to you. So, how much time do you have to get to the level of preparedness you want to be at? Now, let's be honest, I don't think anybody can ever honestly say they are at the level they want to be at. I've been doing it for a long time, and I am a long way from where I want to be. I try to utilize the time that I have available the best that I can to prioritize things and get them done in the manner that I can get done based on what I can do with the physical time and also financially within that time. That makes sense. Time also applies to, okay, when you're actually doing things. How much time do you have in a given day once things go bad to get things accomplished? The time can factor into, okay, we've got a large subdivision, and the stars have aligned and you've done the work and things have worked out where you've got folks in your subdivision that are, fairly well set up. You've got some loose organization going. Things that went bad and your subdivisions come together and y'all are protecting and defending your subdivision. Depending on how big it is, depending on what's around you, going back to that terrain and everything, how much time can you afford to spend during the day on different things? If you don't have a whole lot of manpower available and the situation is dictating that you're needing to do some perimeter patrols and security around your place, and again, no matter if it's subdivision or rural homestead or whatever, that's the alarm system going off. Depending on how much manpower you have, do you have the time to spend on a very detailed, long, slow patrol? Or is your manpower short enough that you can send a patrol out and they've just got to make a quick perimeter loop and get back because there's other things that they've got to do? That time factor will come in across the board. Lastly, the civil considerations. This is probably the least concerning of the three, but it is something you need to take into account of what are the civil considerations from my area. Are there other people living around you that you need to take into consideration of either helping or avoiding? Are you in a more rural area where you don't really have any other civil any other folks around to worry about? What's your considerations in that regard specifically for you? That's your civil considerations. So again, I want to dive into this hopefully in a little more detail in live stream one night. I just want you to be thinking about this, guys. If you don't follow the live stream or anything else, whenever we get around to it, I don't even know when we're going to get to it, schedules being what they are. But think about these things for your own setup. Maybe it's just you individually. Maybe you got a bigger group. Wherever you fall at in that area, you need to be thinking about those things. Regardless of where you fall in there, one of the things that can help you with that METT-TC, and I'm giving a shameless plug, are all these right here. These are the books that my good friend Joe Dolio puts out, Tactical Wisdom series. These do an excellent job of breaking things down outside of the traditional by-the-book military structure and putting things more into that armed prepared citizen mindset and concept, and how you have to pick and choose and change around things and not just carbon copy the military or law enforcement, not just carbon copy whatever the latest global event is. And I reference the Ukraine thing because that's what's going on, and I'm seeing more and more people, oh, I need to set my gear up for trench warfare. I need to worry about this, that, or the other because that's what's happening over there. I need to worry about what first world militaries are doing. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You really need to dive into that and be honest with yourself and think it through really hard and all the way, okay? Cup's about empty. Y'all take care. Get ready and get prepared. Stay safe. I'll see you later.